Hey everybody, this is going to be a video talking about carry matchups in the mid game, how to understand them really well, and also just how to think about the map in terms of the carry matchup, as well as some other factors in the game. So these thoughts that I'm going to have for you guys are basically going to help guide you on where to farm past the laning stage. I've recently been approaching or going through this part of the game with Aerie in the support role. So if you want to learn more as like a support, we are talking about that currently in the Aerie series. But as a carry, I want you guys to think about your matchups on the map.
Banana slam jam.
So in this game, I'm a Naga Siren safe lane, and I'm against the Tide. So if you don't know, Tide pretty much handles Naga because he can just anchor smash, and her illusions do absolutely no damage. And as long as he's like on top of the creeps, I can't really kill them. So the way to handle these types of matchups is that you have to basically run away from what the opponent wants to do. And so I'll just show you a brief clip in the laning stage, but this applies to all stages of the game. So notice how the Tide's playing really aggressively over here. He wants my creeps, so I drag his creeps as far away from him as possible and kill them off before he comes back. So when you're in a bad matchup when it comes to farming, basically think, where does Tide want to play? He wants to be up in my face, he wants to be playing all the way over here, and he wants to be basically just farming while also shutting me down. So it goes along with the same concept as placement on the map, where notice how he wants to be farming the creeps over there. So I'm just dragging the creeps as far away from him as possible, and basically just saying, I need to kill these off and get the fuck out. Because this is approaching a farming matchup where I don't win the farming matchup. Where if both of us walk up to the creep wave, he benefits, right? He's the one that free farms the wave. And this is something that I want you guys to think about when it comes to matchups on the map. I want you to think about whether or not, if you both walk up to the creep wave, who farms. So it's important to understand how it works, but it's also important to set yourself up for where you farm on the map. So notice how that's something I used to never do. Get really creative, drag the creeps away from the Tide. It's not like a brag, it's just like I've realized that it actually just accelerates your farm so much in some of these bad matchups. So this is a matchup where if we both walk up to the creeps, he wins. So I'm going to drag away from him. So then there's something else to consider when it comes to hero matchups. And there's going to be a bit of flame on Mason here, but it has absolutely no, like, it's not the main part of this video. So the weird part for me is that my team's applying a bit of pressure bottom, and I feel like, this Tides, he's been kind of annoying, and if he had kept playing top, I would have probably just sent illusions behind him to cut creep waves while farming jungle. That's what I would have done if Tide stayed top. Because like I said, that's kind of the way to avoid people, especially as an illusion hero. You just send illusions behind the wave, such that the Tide would have to walk backwards in order to kill your illusions. But he goes bottom to respond to the pressure that my team applies. So now the PA ends up coming top. And this is something where I think it's a really bad decision from the opponent to do this, because PA is a bad carry matchup against Naga at this stage in the game. And so the reason why PA is a bad carry matchup against Naga is because Naga pushes the waves way better. And also, Naga basically wears you down, where if Naga gets a +1, meaning like one of her heroes comes and ganks, Naga's almost always going to kill the PA. However, if PA gets a +1, say like the storm goes on me, I'll most likely have Song, I'm probably going to be full health, and PA doesn't do that much damage to me because I've already got 13 armor. So these are things to consider, meaning that if PA gets help, I don't care. If I get help, PA is going to die. So generally, when you're farming, and there's also a farming hero on the opponent team, I would consider Tide a farming hero. Like a lot of times he likes to just run around the map farming, even if he has Ravage. In this case, PA and Naga. I think it's a really bad decision for them to send their PA to the top lane, because we're going to show you what happens when you're in a matchup like I just described to you. We're going to show you what happens over the course of like 2 minutes. I'm going to get all the jungle creeps. I'm sending illusions to the wave. Yeah, he's going to get a little farm, but he's going to be, like, notice how I'm getting all the jungle camps around here, while also getting some of the lane. And notice how we walk up to each other. He takes 40% of his health and damage. I take absolutely 0. Notice how the lane's shoved into his tower, and I'm allowed to farm super aggressively on their side of the map. Don't carries want the lane and the jungle? Look at how I'm allowed to play because it's a favorable carry matchup for me on this side of the map. I run into the Witch Doctor, I don't care. If that was him running into one of my teammates, he would probably die. So notice how he's stuck playing up top. and I just keep cutting the wave with illusions while farming the jungle nearby. Look at the farm he's gotten. He hasn't left the lane. If you compare like the CS that we're getting here, it's just far in my favor. And then this is the kind of stuff that ends up happening if you put yourself in these matchups. Eventually, my team's going to rotate, the lane's constantly pushed into his tower, and he just dies. He literally just dies. And it may look like nothing really happened here, but this is what happens when you put yourself in a bad matchup when it comes on the map. So like, the reason why I thought about this matchup was, this concept was today I was actually watching Quakefoot's stream, and he said something along the lines of, he was reviewing a game of somebody else's, or like watching maybe my game, and I don't want to flame. So he was watching, and what happened was a player in the game TP'd to a lane, farmed one creep wave, the opponent walked at him, and he was afraid, and he left. And he said, that's when you know you're in the wrong part of the map. When you walk up to that creep wave and you're scared. You maybe farm one creep wave and you're scared. There's a lot of indicators that mean you are farming the wrong part of the map, or you shouldn't be farming a lane. There's a lot of indicators, and this is one of them. If you walk up to the wave and you feel scared, if you feel like a +1's going to kill you anytime, that's a really bad carry matchup. That's a really bad farming matchup. So this is something where there's a lot of dynamics to what make carry matchups favored for one hero or the other. A perfect example in this case is that Naga Siren and PA are both right-click damage, and they both rely on like getting 1 or 2 farming items. However, they don't really kill each other. Neither hero really kills each other, but Naga can wear PA down in the early game because PA doesn't have a ton of points up in her evasion just yet, and Naga will also push waves way faster than PA. So Naga will wear her down while PA represents no threat. So that means that at this stage in the game, Naga should have an advantage to bully the PA. And it's her goal to make sure that she does just that. And notice how by putting himself in a bad carry matchup, the PA ends up dying, and then the Tide, who should have been there in the first place, who should have been the one farming against me in the first place because I can't kill him, is forced to TP back top. And that's exactly what you want to do against the bad matchups. You want to force the bad matchups to come and chase you such that you can then just leave. So if you think about it, if I were to try to push bottom like in a normal carry game, the Tide would just go there and be like a wall. I wouldn't be able to push this bottom tower. So that's why in these type of matchups where there's one hero on the opponent team that can stop me from pushing buildings, I talked about this a bit in one of my recent coaching sessions or replay analysis, you want to force them top. Force them away from the objective. The Tide TP's top, that's an immediate cue for me to go bottom because he's the one guy that farms really well against me. Storm doesn't like have enough damage at this stage in the game to kill me. And I just walk bottom and kill this tower. And for me, this is a concept that was never really clear. It was never this fluent for me. But once you get down the hang of it, of exactly what matchup you're looking for, how you want to play the map, and exactly like what hero is good against you and why, and you start understanding carry matchups from this dynamic, it makes the game just so much more straightforward. Notice how Tide's back bottom? So look what I do with my illusions. Right? Can you stop donation? This is the longest fucking donation in the history of fucking... Sorry. Thanks for the money. 1 second. So notice how Tide's back bottom. So instead of approaching this creep wave directly, like I normally have him against PA, I run the illusions all the way away from the Tide. Because he wants these creeps. He doesn't want to deal with this and get these creeps. Like he can't do both. So I run my illusions as far as he's not willing to chase them, and I get the cut creep wave off. And this seems like such a simple thing, but if you put yourself on the right part of the map as a carry, it just feels so good. So if you ask what PA should be doing, is to be honest, she just shouldn't be farming the side of the map that I'm farming. That's really like how I would answer in this game. So if she can't lane against Pango, or she can't lane against Quap, then she actually just has to jungle and maybe defend a tower while her Tide makes space. But the fact is, you know, we both picked at the same time, so it's not like he picked it into like he picked PA into Naga. It kind of just unlucky for him that he got the bad matchup. But it's really important that you stay on the right part of the map as a carry, because the moment you get on the wrong part of the map, I feel like this entire process takes a really long time to right itself. You end up delaying your farm a lot. Like if you look at PA's net worth at 7 minutes compared to mine, it's about the same, right? 7 minutes. This is when he goes top, right? This is the moment he goes top. I'm up by 100 net worth. Now we compare it at 12 minutes after that one move he made to the top half of the map, and it's 1,000 difference. It's like, obviously Naga's going to farm a bit faster than PA. That's expected. But that one movement to the wrong side of the map usually results in a net worth swing of approximately like 500 to 1,000. And that's something that you really want to avoid as carries, and it's super important past the laning stage to start gaining matchups or gauging matchups this way. Because what I've realized, an example in the past for me was I was like, oh, Jug's pretty decent against PA at this stage in the game. He doesn't do enough damage to threaten me when I'm spinning, and I can spin him down. And I tried to go on a PA with spin, and then he just brought a teammate in after my spin ended, and he just killed me. And I was like, well, that sucks. Jug against PA, I probably don't want to farm the same part of the map as PA. And this is the kind of stuff that I've had to learn, all these pro players have had to learn. This is the way you need to think about matchups. Who kills the other, who outpushes the other, who represents a kill threat if he gets help. This is all the kind of stuff that gauges carry matchups, and also just farming matchups in general from like 7 to 15 minutes. Because this is the part of the game where most of the time team fights aren't exactly happening. So it's more about the 1v1 matchups on the map than it is about, late game who wins team fights and all that kind of stuff. Because once PA gets like Battle Fury and a couple items, the evasion's super annoying for Naga, and he can do enough damage to clear my illusions. So it's not like Naga hard counters PA, but this is stage of the game where Naga's very good against PA. And it's really important to understand not only like lane matchups and all this kind of stuff, but the fact that the game has stages and different matchups work differently in different stages of the game. It's like the Naga matchup against PA, really good right now. But if we get to the later game, it's not so great. Like because of the fact that she can clear my illusions and kill me. So it's like maybe I can still win, but her evasion's really strong against my kit. I don't want to buy MKB. So a lot of times people ask me why I'll say a carry is good against another carry. And honestly, this part of the game is a large defining trait for me about carry matchups. Like, yes, in the late game, it will matter. Absolutely who out carries the other. But this stage in the game is about who gets ahead in farm, who ramps up their game faster, who hits their timings faster. And a lot of carry matchups actually work as who wins this part of the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's kind of like something I haven't really talked about too much, but this was a really nice example of what happens when you put yourself on the wrong side of the map temporarily, and how you can also capitalize on it, and how your teammates can capitalize on it. Because if you're like a support, the move from my Oracle and Quap, shout out to you IX Mike for calling it, to come rotate on this PA is because he understands that PA shouldn't be farming against Naga, and that PA will die if a rotation happens because the Naga outfarms the PA. So that's something you can do as a support, as an offlaner, that you can recognize these good or bad carry or farm matchups, and you can utilize those to your advantage. It applies to mid laners, meaning like sometimes the mid laner shouldn't be farming against the other mid laner. It applies to all roles. So this is just an example that I use for a carry to carry matchup. Hopefully you guys can apply this a little bit in your games, and it's really a thinker that'll help develop over time, but something I'm still working on and still learning, so it's not exactly a concept that you ever stop learning about. So thanks for watching, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that kind of bullshit. See you guys later.